How do you see Arkansas football with the upcoming season? I think I'm gonna do a segment on this. I'll redo it. So, like, one of the things that I actually struggle with on this channel is taking longer videos, posting the longer video, and then chopping it up and re-uploading it as segments, which is a thing that other channels do all the time. But apparently, when I do it, people hate it. To which I'm going, there it is, 95 Y cross. Thank you, Sour. There it is. So, like, sometimes I want to do a segment, like, during the live stream, and then I was like, man, that'll be better as an on-demand upload, and Arkansas is one of them. Because I put out this poll earlier today asking folks, what team would you like me to cover most other than OU football is if I don't talk about whatever it is I want to talk about anyway. And I was actually amazed that it's really broken down pretty evenly on the teams that I put in the poll. And I saw a lot of Arkansas fans in there. And it's like, I like Arkansas. I like Arkansas fans. I like Arkansas fans if no reason they like me. Yeah, man. And I take an interest in teams that OU plays in the postseason, in the offseason, and into the next season because I learned so much about them in that month-long window. So, like, Georgia is always on my mind. There's a Ray joke in there somewhere. Somebody's going to make it, hopefully. Show me y'all cool. Anyway, I follow LSU a lot now, right? Because I got to know them really well for a month. And I'm sure whoever Oklahoma pulls in a bowl game this year, I'll get to know. Like, I knew a bunch about Texas A&M during the Johnny Football era because Texas A&M stopped a mud hole in Oklahoma and walked you dry in 2012. So forth, so on. So when I think at Arkansas, the first thing is I can't judge you by your record in 2020. Just can't do it. You're not going to be very good, and that's a tough schedule. I'm not going to just guarantee you're going to beat Nevada. And then you got to go up to South Bend and play a Notre Dame team that's going to be looking to compete for a national championship this year. And the SEC West is the SEC West. So when I look at Arkansas, I say, how do you play at quarterback? Because as much as I already have Feliepe Franks penciled in as the starting quarterback, many of y'all like, yo, man, remember KJ Jefferson? I'm like, okay, is that why they brought Feliepe Franks in? Because KJ Jefferson is so good? You got a new offensive coordinator in Kendall Browse that I was going to run a veer and shoot that I really like watching. Barry Odom is going to put in a defense. We'll see if it's any good. I like Levi Draper a ton. Stick him next to Bumper Pool, which is his real name, babe, in case you didn't know. And you're going to be good. I like Jalen Catalon back there at safety. I like Miles Slusher because he's from right here in the metro. And he can play. He's a 4-star recruit. I like a lot of the pieces. I mean, Rakeem Boyd rushed for over 1,100 yards on a bad football team last year. And if you can give up fewer than 30 points a game, you're in it. Like, there were only 6 teams that were worse in scoring defense last year than Arkansas. And they're like New Mexico State and other trash. So immediately, if Barry Odom makes you better defensively by, let's say, 3 points, you go from being the laughingstock of the SEC to being not so laughingstock of the SEC. Maybe you're in the same category as Vanderbilt. But to do all of that, you're going to have to be sound on the offensive line. And you're going to have to expect to be sound on the offensive line because that's Sam Pittman as your head coach. And he is an offensive line whisperer, and he is an offensive line guru. So you expect to rush for more yards, you expect to hold people to a few more points, and maybe you don't become the team that goes winless in conference play for back-to-back years, because that would be a bad look. So don't lose to the teams that you probably can beat. Be interesting to see how they stack up against the lower teams in the SEC West, like Ole Miss, Mississippi State. And we'll see how it goes from there. If they get a matchup with Missouri, I can't remember off the top of my head if they're on the schedule this year, because the SEC schedule is crappy because they don't have to play round robins, and that's what makes them soft. But that's something else entirely. Live stream and LSU content, I am here for this. Thanks, RJ. I appreciate you, Scott. Let me see. Man, okay. Cam was having a hard time autofocusing, wasn't it? I think this is going to be the last question, then we're going to get out of here. Hey, RJ, do you think we will ever get back to good old days when the Big 12 was what? Running things instead of the SEC boys every year? It's all cyclical. I actually got asked this question at the Jim Thorpe Award selection committee when we were trying to narrow down the finalists, right? Because, Grant Delpit was going to be on the list, and we were really having discussions about other guys from the SEC, like J.R. Reed, who was on the list, and then Jeff Okuda, who was a finalist. which is no small thing. But I made the point that it's cyclical because 20 years ago, it was Florida. And that was all you really had to worry about. It's Florida, right? Then it became Auburn and Florida, right? Because Urban Meyer picked up where Steve Spurrier left, and they got good. And then Auburn had that undefeated season where they didn't get a chance to play for a national championship. And then here come LSU with the emergence of Nick Saban, and then here comes Alabama with the reemergence of Nick Saban. I think it's cyclical. I think by 2030, we might be talking about a totally different conference. Hell, we might be talking about the Pac-12 coming back from the dead. But right now, it's the SEC's world with the rest of us living in it. And that is remarkably clear because Oklahoma can win the Big 12 and then get ran by an SEC team in the college football playoff, which makes it feel a lot like being All-State in Rhode Island. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling at all. Because I want the conference champion to be indicative of somebody that at least makes a game with the number 1 team in the country as the number 4 team in the country. I don't want to see 63-28 and 49-14.5. Nobody wants to see that. And now Oklahoma has this moniker of not being really any good, which we used to talk about Baylor in that way. And Art Briles is Baylor. Be like, they ain't played nobody. They not that good. Why are we talking about them like they're good? Like they're good. Now OU is in that category, and I dislike it. I dislike it quite a bit. Oregon will be good if the quarterback is all right. The defense is going to be delicious. Noah Sewell is awesome. Justin Flo is awesome. Kayvon Thibodeau is awesome. I even had some good things to say about Dante Manning. They return C.J. Verdell on offense, but they lose a lot on the offensive line. And they got a new quarterback. So, will they repeat as Pac-12 champions? They'd be my pick to, but I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona State jumps up and bites them. I wouldn't. I think it's on the table. All right. What else we got? Babe, you got stuff you want to say?
A couple things that I agree with. Sarah Carson would like you to do more history on the air raid coaches, specifically the OGs of it, like where the air raid came from. And I think your listeners, I would like them to chime in. I would love more history stuff. But he's very quick to tell me that nobody likes the history stuff.
Yeah, y'all don't really show up for the history stuff. Like, the views show y'all out. I know what y'all like because I can see what does numbers on this channel and what doesn't. Like, I make an OKC Thunder video and people are like, why don't you do more OKC Thunder content? Because if you check the views on the last one, you see that. Why you talk about OU so much? Because there's a lot of people that actually care about Oklahoma. Why you talk about Texas? Because there's a ton of people that care about Texas and Ohio State and LSU. You know what people don't show up asking for? Like, repeatedly in droves? West Virginia. It's not high on the list of demands here, man. Mississippi State is only cool because Mike Leach is there. Ole Miss is only cool because Lane Kiffin is there. You know, like, I can't wait to see what happens when I make a Tennessee video this offseason. Well, that one actually might do well because Oklahoma's got to play Tennessee with the second game of the season, so we'll see. But the history stuff, y'all only like the predictive stuff. What do I expect to happen? Not what we look at from the past. But I like history. We'll get into it. I actually wrote this really long thing about Hal Mummy and the history of the air raid that I probably should deliver. Maybe I'll do that on the audio podcast. You should download the audio podcast. It's the RJ Young Show podcast. It's on Apple and iTunes. Leave a review. Please leave 5 stars. We got over 200 ratings on it, which you'll know is actually a pretty good number. And, like, a lot of people listen to it. Like, 12,000 monthly downloads. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right. Who scares you more, Baylor OC or Texas's OC? Probably Mike Yurcich never beat Oklahoma, and Larry Fedora. I'm not sure if he beat Oklahoma. I don't think he beat Oklahoma either. I don't know that I've ever been scared of a former Oklahoma State offensive coordinator. They don't really win that much. Mike Gundy's been the head coach at Oklahoma State for like 16 years. He's got 2 Bedlam wins. Lincoln Riley's been the head coach at Oklahoma for 3 years. He's got 3 Bedlam wins. I don't really get scared of him. I just don't. And I'll throw this in here as we go out the door. Spencer Rattler has better odds to win the Heisman Trophy than Sam Ehlinger and Chuba Hubbard. Who saw that one coming? Probably ought to make that into a segment. an on-demand segment. All right. If you like the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends. We'd like to get to 40,000 subs before the season starts. I think we're well on the way there. If you like having Laurel on the channel, show her some love. Let her know that you want her back.
I'm not on the channel. Oh, sorry.
I mean, you're talking on it.
I know, I forget the mic is here.
Yeah, Mike's definitely there. Definitely there. All right. We out of here.